All right, guys, welcome to another episode of Rotten Apples Film Review. I'm your host, John Galligan, and today we're going to talk about Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Where do I begin? This thing is a dumpster fire. I don't know. I have a board here where I wrote down all of my ideas, so the whole thing is filled. I can't fit any more words on this thing. So I think I'll start where I talk about not just the specifics of why the writing was bad, but I'm going to actually dissect the scenes of which I feel the film is just completely lost. First thing that I'm going to start with is the right off the bat, the prank phone call between Hux and Poe. It is ridiculous. I understand, like, some fans, like I'm a fan that I've watched Star Wars my whole life. So I was raised in the '80s. So I mean, Star Wars to me is it's everything. So you would think that I would give things a pass, but The Last Jedi really drops the ball, and right off the bat, it tries to capture that moment where Han Solo is, um, I think he's on the Death Star, and one of the Empire officers is communicating with him, and he says, "Situation normal, everything fine here. How are you?" And they're like, "Hey, who is this?" And then, I mean, that might be the inspiration for that prank phone call, but I think it's just marveled out of its wits, and it's just not funny. It's terrible. It's corny. Hux looks like a doofus. There's zero feeling of him being anything serious. He's a goofball. And Poe, I don't know, that character in the entire movie. I mean, that scene set the tone for Poe for me. He had egg on his face the entire film. So, and I'll get into that too, because it was constant teachable moments that he was learning, that he was making. He's the fly boy, but he's not like Han Solo. He's like more of a failure. I mean, he's just completely out of it. They don't let him fly. They like keep him on the side because he like loses it, and he goes against Haldo, who ends up I guess sacrificing herself and exploding a dreadnought. Which, I mean, if she could have done that in the beginning, it would have saved a lot of people's lives. But anyway, Poe had egg on his face when Leia literally brought him over, and he witnessed the Haldo flying right through the dreadnought, exploding it, and he felt like an idiot because obviously he was wrong. And then, I don't know, not even that many scenes later, like almost instantly, we see Finn try to do the same thing. And as Finn is flying his ship, Rose stops him. They crash. He's not able to risk himself in the same way Holdo does. And then Rose says, "That's not how we're going to win this. We're going to win this by saving the ones we love," or something, paraphrasing, but something along those lines. So we just saw Holdo do something where Poe was learning, this is how we win. And then Rose kind of like takes it back. And that whole thing with Rose and Finn, I thought John Boyega was the strongest actor in The Force Awakens, and I was really excited to see where he and Oscar Isaac, Poe Dameron, were going to take these characters, because I was really excited about their acting ability, and Daisy Ridley as well, because I felt like Rey had so much potential, and I was really excited to see where these characters went. And then The Last Jedi hit, and Ryan Johnson, who for all intensive purposes, he's a decent director, but he didn't understand what Star Wars is. Star Wars is for the fans. Star Wars is a saga that is for the fans. It's almost like a multiple layered chocolate cake, and when you know what you're gonna get, but you slice the fork through, and each episode there's a different layer or something added to the chocolate cake that makes it better, or tries to make it better. It could be when A New Hope started, it was a chocolate cake, and it had like Alec Guinness and David Prowse and James Earl Jones and Peter Cushing and all these guys in it, and then you had these are the layers of the cake, and then you had the story and Luke Skywalker and the lightsaber and the Millennium Falcon, and first time seeing all these things, and the Death Star, and blowing up Alderaan and Carrie Fisher, Princess Leia, Chewbacca, all these things, they were the layers of cake that we were discovering. And then Empire hit. Now we need new layers. But it's still a chocolate cake because that's what people want. They want Star Wars, which it is what it is. If Star Wars was a cake, to me it would be a chocolate cake because I love chocolate cake. But to someone else, it could be a vanilla cake. But whatever it is, they know what they're getting. They know what they're getting. So for me, it was a chocolate cake. When I feel like what Ryan Johnson did was he tried to put his own mark on it, and to the point where he changed the whole thing, and then he got this like forget the past, let it die if you have to mentality where he just wanted to destroy everything that we believed. And infamously in the beginning of filming, before the film came out, Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker, famously said that he wasn't happy with the direction of Luke, which none of the fans are, because he called him Jake Skywalker, and he had questioned Ryan Johnson's intentions. He had said that I feel like this isn't Luke, it's someone else, it's Jake Skywalker, because those scenes are ridiculous when Luke throws the lightsaber over his shoulder, the lightsaber that was given to him by Alec Guinness that helped Luke propel him into this whole world of becoming a Jedi and making friends with Han and Leia and meeting all these things. And he just took that lightsaber and tossed it. I mean, it's a ridiculous thing. It's a ridiculous notion for him to do that. Luke would never do that. Maybe Jake would do it. And on top of what Luke wouldn't do is Rey, who seeked out this Jedi Master, who Rey is lost and needs training, and then she seeks him out, and it ends up being where Rey is training Luke, teaching Luke how that you can still have saved Ben. And then you see a flashback where Luke tries to kill Ben, his nephew, because he senses him to be evil. But didn't Luke just save Vader? Didn't Luke go against the entire ultimate evil, the Empire and the Emperor, and face? And even though Yoda, his master, who just showed him that he has this amazing ability to pull out the X-wing and all these powers that Yoda showed him, Luke defied Yoda because Luke believed in his heart that he could still save his father, Vader, and his father who killed children. And then Luke goes up against all of this to save Vader. This same Luke is going to try to kill his nephew, who hasn't done anything evil yet, because he senses evil. He doesn't realize he can save him. And Rey, who doesn't know anything about the Force, doesn't even know who she is, by the way, is told she's no one, which is absolutely ridiculous. In the saga, it's always been a family thing. It's always been that way, and that was what made it so palatable for the viewer, is that we connected because we all had situations where maybe we had a father or a parent who could have been evil, or maybe domineering, or whatever it may be, and we connected. We related to Luke and how his drive to save his father, to be the hero and save the galaxy, use the Force, and all these kinds of things that we all dreamed that we could. I mean, that's what we were living. We were living vicariously. That's what this film was. It's a fantasy film where it's spaceships and all these extraordinary things, and Luke is experiencing, and he's experiencing all this, and then you got Rey, who comes to Luke for guidance, and instead ends up teaching Luke that you could have saved Ben, Kylo. You could have saved him. And Luke, I don't understand that whole thing. Like, I mean, it almost seemed like Catherine Kennedy had something to do with a lot of the film's language and a lot of the film's color when it came to a lot of the male characters. I mean, Finn was taught by by Rose that he shouldn't try to risk his life to save the rebellion, or the resistance as they're called now, and so he was taught, and he looked like he had egg on his face. And then you got Poe, who's just a buffoon the whole film, and he gets taught by Leia and Holdo, which I don't even understand why Holdo was needed. Leia should have been the one to sacrifice herself. That would have been perfect. It wasn't needed to have another character. It just didn't add anything to the story, and I didn't understand her character at all in any way, shape, or form, other than to just humiliate Poe and make him look silly. And Luke gets bested on the mountaintop when him and Rey are like dueling with the lightsaber. It's just it's mind blowing to me. I don't understand what they're trying to do because Rey isn't going to be relatable if you're going to make her have no. I mean, Luke lost his hand. Luke battled adversity. We need to see Rey train. We need to see her go through adversity. Luke trained with Yoda and was taught lesson after lesson after lesson. And here you have Rey, who's like, it seems like she's omnipotent. She's the most powerful thing on earth. She's besting the greatest Jedi that we've ever seen. She's teaching him that he can save his nephew after this guy saved his father, and he can't. He doesn't understand that. To me, it's his father. Like I said, killed children. It's just crazy to me how that was. And then you have, I mean, speaking of Jedi Master, you got Yoda, who's a Force ghost. He's laughing. It's not the Yoda, the intellectual Yoda that we've seen in the prequels, and it's not that Yoda. It's the goofball Empire Strikes Back teaching Luke a lesson Yoda, trying to teach Luke that wars not make one great, and trying to teach that it's not about the stature, it's about the heart and the passion. And that's what he taught Luke when he was on Dagobah, when he was goofing around trying to test Luke's patience. And then you got the same version of Yoda laughing when all these things are happening with the Resistance and the First Order, and there's killing and all this stuff. People are losing their lives, like Rose's sister lost her life, and all this stuff, and for the sake of the battle and the story. And Yoda's laughing, and then all of a sudden Yoda ignites the tree with fucking lightning from the sky, which to me is just I don't understand it. I don't know why that had to have happened. It just boggles my mind, because if Yoda can do that, why doesn't Obi-Wan Kenobi do that when Luke is facing Vader? Or why don't they intervene at any point when all this evil is going on? Why waste that ability to just destroy a Jedi a tree? It's just writing like that it made no sense. It was almost like Ryan Johnson, like he lost his mind or something. I really don't understand how he wrote it, and to me, it's not even good writing. I mean, I understand the climate of today's cinema is funny and humorous, and everything's meant to be explosions and things so that you can see your attention span is always on and always on. I mean, if you watch A New Hope, there's a lot of dialogue. It's old school filmmaking. It's 35 millimeter kind of anamorphic celluloid kind of film, and we're watching this with Alec Guinness, who's a master thespian actor, and all this stuff going on, and it's dialogue, 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 then explosion. It's not like explosion, joke, explosion, joke. It's just crazy to me. And then now you think about all that stuff, and then you got Snoke, who is this omnipotent looking, just he's a giant. When you see him in the Force Awakens, he's a giant hologram, and he's imposing, and you think he's got this like sense of fear, and he evokes this like evil thing. You're wondering who could he be, and he could have been awesome. He could have been Darth Plagueis. He could have been scarred up from Palpatine and having to hide like Yoda had to hide. You could have had him hide in the background, waiting for the right moment. Maybe he created Vader. Maybe he created Anakin Skywalker using the metachlorians because he did know how to manipulate life. Maybe he created him and had designed Anakin so that Anakin would do what he did and destroy the Emperor so that he can come out. And I'm Darth Plagueis, who was betrayed by my student, and he's the ultimate evil lurking behind. Yet they didn't do that with him. Instead, they made him this goofball joke, who Snoke the joke, who he can mind meld these two young, force wielding, super powerful. As I said, Rey's besting Luke, and then you got Kylo, and these super powerful, force sensitive Jedi, and I guess he's not really a Sith, but these force powerful people mind meld them. They have no idea. They're like speaking to each other from across the galaxy, and they don't know who's bringing them together or why it's happening. It's Snoke. In The Last Jedi, it's Snoke. And this guy can do all of that. He can pretty much hold Rey with the Force, and she's just held in the air. He can snap his finger and send Kylo flying, and it's just the guy's super powerful and he can't sense a lightsaber right here. I mean, making the noise of turning. I mean, if I turn this here, you can hear it. If I turn that, you can hear it. I mean, he can't, he's sitting on his throne looking at Kylo and Rey, and he can't hear this or feel it. He can't hear it or feel it, nothing. And then Kylo is able to ignite the lightsaber from across the room. And it goes through him, and he's dead. Dead. This old looking, omnipotent looking guy, dead. Just like that. That's how the ultimate evil is killed. I mean, if you're gonna kill the big baddie like that, I'm not gonna be afraid of any big baddie in the series because he can die at such a goofball way. I mean, the saber was next to him. By the way, no, there was no reason why they should have went there with the igniting the lightsaber from across the room. If that's possible, when Yoda and Sidious are fighting, you think they're super powerful and they're fighting each other in a lightsaber duel. How come when Yoda's swinging the lightsaber, he doesn't just use the Force to turn off Sidious's lightsaber so he can't block him? That's why Lucas never went there, because it's just writing like that made this film so mind-blowingly cheap and unbelievable. Yes, it's Star Wars. Yes, none of it's believable. The Falcon, the design of the Falcon can't even fly. We already know this, but that's not the story. That's not, I mean, you still have to have elements of believability to this. I mean, what are we watching if we can't feel like it's somewhat believable? I mean, you're making the character of Snoke so weak that he can't even feel a lightsaber, and this guy's intentions, he can't sense this. It's epic. And then you got, on top of that, now you got Leia, who is in a cockpit, explodes the cockpit, sends her into space, the vacuum of space. Never seen this before. She's completely knocked out, eyes closed, and Mary Poppins flies her way back to the ship. I couldn't believe what I was witnessing. It was the most, and he mentions hubris twice, Luke Skywalker. It was the most arrogant, disgusting display in the Star Wars saga I've ever seen. They took a character, a beloved character, and made it the most goofball thing. I mean, how can that happen? If that can happen, then how come at the end when they're barricaded in and the ice foxes are there, Leia is waiting for Rey to move the stones. Leia can't move the stones? Leia can fly in space. She can move the stones for the stupid ice foxes, okay? Which was another idiotic thing. I didn't understand all that. Then you got Jake Skywalker. You got him in his moment here. Now he can be Obi-Wan. He can show his courage and his might and his will and face Kylo and then sacrifice himself for the good of the resistance so that they could win. Nope, don't even give him that. You know what you make him do? You make him project himself so he can still hide on this island, and he projects himself to face Kylo, and it's not him. It's like a projection of himself, and Kylo doesn't know, and because he's so powerful, but he can't sense that there's a projection, whatever. And then they have this stupid little fight after when he first appears, they unload every missile and he goes like this. I mean, what's happening? What happened here? Where did this go off the rails? And then you got fans who, and I respect a lot of them, but they're just so desperate to like it. They just like, I got to like this film. They just want to, it's almost like their arms are tied behind their back and they're being spoon-fed this fake chocolate cake, because it's not chocolate cake, like I alluded to before. It's colored like chocolate cake, but when you slice into it, it's vanilla cake, or it's lemon meringue, or something else. And you're eating it, you're like, what is this? And it's not even good vanilla or good lemon meringue. It's almost like McDonald's made it. I also want to reference that there's no lightsaber duels. None. Not one lightsaber duel. They don't clash at all. Rey and Kylo never clash lightsabers. Instead, they fight the guards. These like weirdo guards that like are supposed to be good at fighting. I don't know how they would ever face a Jedi or a powerful force wielder with a Jedi lightsaber in their hand. It's just wild to me. I mean, to me, I can't dissect it any more than that. I mean, all those scenes are just, to me, They're just out of this world, ridiculous. And they had opportunity where they could have did some really cool things. They could have brought Hayden Christensen back, and instead they put Yoda. I don't know why. Don't know why Yoda was the ghost they chose when they could have chose Luke's father. I mean, how amazing would that have been if Hayden Christensen appears as the Force ghost and he speaks to Mark Hamill. You got those two on screen together, and then they're speaking about Plagueis, and you find out. I mean, that would be cinema. That would be worth what it was, and instead we got what we got, and to me, I don't understand it. I really don't. And then you got the Porgs, which don't make any sense to the film. I mean, at least the Ewoks fought the Empire. The Porgs, they like got in Chewie's way, and Chewie's eating one. I don't understand. The blue milk with the big animal with the tits, and you got this guy drinking tit milk. I don't understand the humor. It's like it so wants to be Marvel. It's like I I don't understand it. It's keep it Star Wars. That's why we're here. We're here to eat our chocolate cake, Ryan Johnson. And then he continues to defend himself and say like he wanted to make something that the fans didn't, something new and fresh. And that's good if you're doing your own movie like Knives Out or something. But not if you're like in the world of Star Wars. In that world, you have to bake a chocolate cake and then make different layers for each film. That could be the surprise. But keep it chocolate cake. Keep it Luke Skywalker. Like, keep it that. Don't make a Jake Skywalker where we don't even know what's going on here. That guy was a hero. I mean, I always reference this. In cinema, one of the greatest moments and most heroic moments is when Luke Skywalker defies his two Jedi Masters, Obi-Wan Kenobi and Yoda, super powerful Jedi Masters, defies them, faces Vader, just faces Vader, and when he faces Vader, he finds out that Darth Vader is his father. And he finds out after Darth Vader bests him in a lightsaber duel, chops his hand off, and his back is pushed up against not a wall, but a drop that will kill him. And instead of joining Vader, which after Vader tells him he's his father, to join him, instead of that, he puts his chest up, he looks down, and he falls. You can actually see a look of shock on the mask of Vader when his hand drops. When you watch that scene, that is Star Wars. That is Luke Skywalker. That is being a hero. That is what we want when we see Star Wars. That's what we want. We want the hero to win. We know the hero is going to win. We're not watching it to be shocked. We're not watching it to forget the past and let it die if we have to. That's not what we're watching. I mean, by the way, the guy who's saying forget the past, let it die if you have to, he's hoarding Vader's mask. I mean, the whole thing is just a hypocrisy, the whole thing. The Last Jedi, it's a rotten apple to the degree of as rotten as an apple will get. I'll give it a 1 out of 10. I give it a 1 out of 10 because I know what it goes into making film, and I'm giving that one for all the people who are behind the scenes. The film is a pile of shit. And that's it. That's my review, and I'm sticking to it. I'll see you next time. Rotten Apples out.